It's a pleasure to be here on International Clinical Trials Day, which of course is a great opportunity every year to reflect on where we are in relation to clinical trials and indeed where we are aiming to go. And this year we're posing the question, coordinated clinical trials ecosystem in Ireland, are we there yet? As we all know, clinical research, including trials, is absolutely fundamental to healthcare innovation. It's how we turn cutting-edge science into more effective diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of disease. And of course, it's linked very closely, as we know, to improving the quality of care and patient outcomes. But it can often be overlooked that trials can also improve the efficiency of health service delivery and healthcare systems, which is why, with our partners, the HRB has been investing in building our collective capacity for trials over many years. Well, the HRB published our new 5-year strategy just over a year ago, and within that, clinical research, including trials and infrastructure, is supported through objectives 1 and 4, which you can see there. So overall, what we're trying to do here with these objectives is to drive excellence and innovation to deliver benefits for patients, for the health system, and for the economy through faster, better quality, and more diverse clinical trials. And to deliver those trials in an environment that is pro-innovation and where research is integrated across the healthcare system as a core part of effective patient care. And I think what I was just saying there was that at an operational level, that we have established a new unit for research and innovation infrastructures within the HRB to lead out on this agenda. And that unit is being led by Una Ward. And I think Una is going to be sitting on one of the panels later on. I'll have the next slide, please, Michael. So when we pose the question, are we there yet? It's worth, I think, looking at where we've come from and what we've done so far, because we've really done collectively across the whole system an awful lot. And in fact, more than 150 million has been invested to date. That means that the government, effectively, through the HRB and others, has invested significantly in clinical trials infrastructure in recent decades to make sure that we have a robust, enabling research environment to support trials within healthcare delivery settings. And that's all very positive. So if you look at this graphic and you go back to 2002, you can see there was an investment to begin with way back then in cancer trials infrastructure through ICORC, that's formerly ICORC, now Cancer Trials Ireland. And then following that, in 2005, we entered into a co-funding arrangement with the Wellcome for Clinical Research Infrastructure. And that led, following that in 2008, to the first CRFs in the country opening up. Then in 2014, we funded the first networks. That was the Trials Methodology Research Network and Disease-Specific Networks. And in 2015, a national coordinating centre, HRBC or CI, that was, as Joe said, a precursor to today's National Clinical Trials Office led by FNULA, which you'll be hearing about later. So with all of that investment, in 2018, we conducted a very detailed review of clinical research infrastructure in Ireland to inform the next phase of funding over the current strategic period. Could I have the next slide, please, Michael? So you can see from those graphics there how all of these fit together. And those new investments starting last year from 2021 are valued at about 55 million over the next 5 years. Now that's only HRB funding. There's additional co-investment from the HSE, from the universities, and from other partners. So as I say, you can see here how they fit together: the National Clinical Trials Office, the TMRN, the clinical trial networks, which you'll be hearing from later, and of course the CRFs, and they all work together for the benefit of researchers and patients. So looking at these in a little bit more detail, next slide please, Michael. So far, we have 5 clinical research facilities. They were set up to provide the infrastructure, the governance, the skills, the expertise to enable high quality, safe trials and indeed other interventions. And they have been funded to the tune of 21 million by the HRB, but very importantly, they are also receiving co-investment from other partners in a 1-to-1 ratio. We currently have 6 cancer trials groups. Again, there's support there, an enabling infrastructure to support Irish patients to access safe and high quality cancer clinical trials. And across the country, we have a national cancer clinical trials network. Again, there's over 22 million being invested in that. And again, there is co-funding from partners for the cancer groups as well. Next slide, please, Michael. The clinical trial networks, which you will be hearing about, are cohesive networks which are established in specific thematic areas. And they're about coming up with an agreed research strategy to design, lead, conduct a portfolio of competitive, internationally competitive, investigator-led clinical trials. And we have 7 of those at the moment in the following areas. We have dementia, diabetes, critical care, primary care, pediatrics, rare diseases, and infectious diseases. And they have been funded to the tune of 7 million, with again co-funding coming through from partners. And of course, we have the National Clinical Trials Office, led by Fionnuala and Joe, which has organised today's event, which is the central point of contact for multi-centre clinical trials in Ireland, and provides an excellent signposting, advice and support service to the community. And very importantly, of course, the NCTO also offers access to the European clinical trials infrastructure as well through ECRIN. Next slide, please, Michael. And finally, there we have the Trials Methodology Research Network, which is all about strengthening the methodology, the quality, reporting, outcomes of trials in health and social care in Ireland. And that is led out of NUI Galway. It's a national network. And again, we get co-investment there as well from university partners as well. I also want to mention the Definitive Interventions and Feasibility Awards, because we have committed just over 10 million over the next few years to these studies, to definitive intervention studies. It's called the DIFA scheme. And this is the only public funding source for international-led, for investigator-led clinical trials in Ireland. And within that as well, there is a dedicated funding stream for cancer trials of about 3 million. That was launched just recently in Q1 2022, and the final decision and approvals are expected in Q1 2023. Next slide, please, Michael. So I suppose the question is our work done? Well, we have this investment now, building on the investment that we've put in over the last decade and a half. We have investment in place now for the next 4 to 5 years. But of course, we want to make sure that the whole research environment is working well, the clinical trials environment is working well, and that it is thriving. And in particular, over the next few years, we want to focus on quality. We want to make sure that we have a comprehensive framework in place to improve and ensure the quality of HRB-funded clinical trials and infrastructures. Next slide, please, Michael. So the cornerstone of Ireland's clinical trial ecosystem is the HRB's clinical trial infrastructure investment, with co-funding, of course, from our partners. And that, as we've seen, provides the expertise, the facilities, training, technology to enable research and innovation to thrive. But we also need to be able to show results. We need to demonstrate success through high quality clinical trials and infrastructures. And in doing that, that will enable us to secure future investment, of course, as well as delivering improved healthcare for all patients. So this work has already started. We have established an ongoing engagement with the Standing Advisory Group of international experts to work with us and to advise us in this area. We have new contract templates for infrastructures to incentivize integration and co-investment. And we now have active support from hospital CEOs. This is very important. We have active support from hospital CEOs through participation in formal engagement forums. We're monitoring and reporting activity with key performance metrics, and we're working towards doing an international comparative assessment that will further showcase our achievements in this space. So just final slide there, Michael, please. So we posed the question at the start. Are we there yet in terms of a coordinated clinical trials ecosystem? Well, I guess, as we all know, this is a work in progress. But looking back, I suppose, at where we started a decade and a half ago and where we are now, what's in place, the work that people have done, the work people are doing, I think it's fair to say we are well on our way. And certainly there's plenty to take pride in and very good grounds for optimism. So thank you very much for listening, and I'll hand back to you now, Joe. And thanks, Michael, for helping with the slides.